This is Ezekiel chapter 4, verse 16 through 17. Moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, behold, I will break the staff of bread in Jerusalem, and they shall eat bread by weight and with care, and they shall drink water by measure and with astonishment, that they may want bread and water, and be astonished one with another, and consume away for their iniquity. Call halal Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Rachach HaKodash, Yahweh being the true name of who the world ignorantly calls God, and Yahweh Shai being the true name of who the world calls Jesus Christ in the Paleo Hebrew, and the Lashawan Kodash, the Holy Tongue. I want to give double honors to the elders and apostles of the great millstone that rule well, and peace and mercy to all you sincere Akim pushing this word in all sincerity and truth, to the 144,000, the house of David, the elect, Shalom. It's the brother Dama Gabar from JMS Los Angeles, with another lesson, Lord willing to edify and feed the lambs and sheep of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, and give you warning from the mouth of the Lord of these things that are coming upon this earth, man. And as of late, I've been doing a lot of videos on this up and coming famine, because that's one of the main things that is in the works, and that's something that's being heavily prepared for you people here in Babylon the Great, which is known as America. And a lot of you are not taking this thing seriously. You're not seriously considering that this, place called America, which has always been plenteous, that's always been full, and always been, food has always been readily available, that is, you don't believe that that day is going to dry up, man. And when you look at everything that's happening all around the world with, the issue in Ukraine, with this, rising gas prices, the inflation, the devaluing of the dollar bill, man, famine is about to hit this country in a major way. And, one way you're going to be hit with famine is because of the cost of everything, the inflation, the price of the goods. It's not that the price of the food is going up, it's the value of the money is becoming lower. So it's causing more dollars for you to get things that were relatively cheaper, man. And it's going to get to the point to where a lot of people are going to starve to death because they're not going to have enough money to meet the demand and the inflation of these goods and services, man. And on top of that, the reason why I'm doing this video is why you're going to have how the Lord is breaking the staff of bread here in Jerusalem, which, Jerusalem is a people before it's a place. It represents you Israelites, you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. It's because of this thing called food protectionism that is happening all around the world, which you're not hearing about this in the mainstream news media. All you're hearing about is Russia and Ukraine and Putin and Kanye West and the worldly bullshit that the average American thinks about and watches. But you're not paying attention to this thing called food protectionism, which is basically all these countries around the world are halting their exports of food and grain and soy and rice and beans and corn and wheat, and those shipments of those goods are not making it here to America, man. So eventually, whatever America has on deck as far as food and things of that nature is eventually going to dry up, which is going to lead to starvation, which is going to lead to famine, food riots, food scarcity. All right. Uh, the love of many waxing cold, massive starvation, even cannibalism, man. And these things are all on the ticket to come here to Babylon the Great, and it's all according to biblical prophecy, man. All right, and we can just see little by little how all these things that are happening are going to have the ultimate effect to bring in these times of sorrow. You know, this harsh famine that's about to hit this this side of the world, man. And if you ain't right with Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, man, you are going to be hit by these evil arrows of famine, man. So I'm going to hop around this article a little bit and get straight to the point, drop another precept, and I'm going to get out of here. It says, countries left and right are halting export of key commodities amid the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. And the latest one to announce that it's going to hold on to its resources is Argentina. One of the world's largest producers of soy, much of it genetically modified, Argentina has decided to halt all exports of soybean meal and oil, which are used as cheap fillers to produce processed junk food. You see? So all of these little commodities and little, junk foods and chips and cookies and candy and all these little, cheap junk food that the average which is a staple in the American diet, man. These things are about to dry up, man. and it's already happening. You got a lot of these companies which they're not telling you. They're 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 selling you these foods for the regular price, but little by little they're putting less and less inside of it. I think Doritos just honestly came out and said that, look, we're putting less chips inside of our bags, man. Why? Because all of these halt on all these exports are not going to be coming in pretty soon. So these companies have to cover their end. They have to make their products stretch because they know it's going to get harder and harder to get it to make these things and even more expensive. So therefore, they're going to have to do what they got to do to make sure that they can keep it on the shelves and keep you people buying it as long as possible, man. But they know eventually it's all, things are going to dry up, man. And the more that war is on the ticket, the more that less of these export and imports are going to be moving. So therefore, less food, more hard times, man. It says a memo signed by Javier Preciado Patino, Argentina's Secretary for Agriculture Markets, explained that in order to increase control over local farm goods for protectionist purposes, his country will be holding on to its soy products for the time being. The announcement triggered a more than 2.2% increase in soy meal futures, driving up commodity prices even further. You see, so these things are going to get more and more expensive, and the harder they are to export and import, the more expensive they're going to get, man. And eventually, it's going to be too expensive. So it's not even going to particular things not even going to touch down here on the soils of America, man. So all of this overeating and all of this wastefulness that you people love to do here, eventually that's just going to dry up, man. It says Ukraine did much of the same thing by halting exports of wheat, corn, and other grains. Since late February, Argentina has intervened in food markets by subsidizing the domestic wheat industry. This is similar to no, not now. This is similar to earlier policies it imposed for vegetable oils that aim to help mitigate soaring costs for consumers. All right. It says the government typically puts a block on the export register known as the DJVE before increasing taxes on shipments in order to stop farmers from preempting the hike with a flood of selling, reported Bloomberg, further speculating that Argentina will increase taxes on soy meal oil to 33% from 31%. The sudden halt in Argentina's suppliers will still imports towards the United States and Brazil for replacement supplies, soy trader told Reuters. See, so eventually, America's going to have to start going to different places to try to get these things, man. And as things spiral out of control, man, the more that the whole world turns its back on Babylon the Great, pretty soon, ain't nobody going to be giving America shit, man. They're going to leave her out in the cold. You see, it says buyers have no choice but to reduce consumption or got to alternative sources for supplies, they added. We expect higher demand for U.S. meal. See? Uh, where is the point? It says export warns that currency trajectory, blah, blah, blah. It says Russian invasion of Ukraine is being blamed for these protectionist measures, which are being imposed not just in Argentina, but also all around the world amid record inflation and supply problems. See? It says Steve Matthews, head of strategy at Grow Intelligence, told Bloomberg that protectionist measures like this will further drive up prices due to tightening global supplies. See? It says it adds greatly to the inflationary concerns, he warned. You see, because inflation is a major serious thing, man, and everything that's happening around the world, especially with this whole Ukraine situation, is causing as which is bullshit, causing all this inflation. No, all this inflation is happening because these elites are pro propelling it. They're putting things in play to where the inflation is constantly going up. They've been printing up all these goddamn dollars for so long, man. Now it's to the point to where it ain't worth shit, man. All right. Where was I? What's the point I wanted to meet? It says Russia, Ukraine, Moldova, Hungary, and Serbia have banned all exports of farm goods, with Russia and Ukraine being two of the world's top suppliers of commodities like wheat and barley. Disturbingly, if things continue on with the current trajectory, it could spark a great famine all around the world, warns Epic Peters, CEO of One River Assets Management. It's beginning, wrote someone at Zero Hedge ominously, global trade coming to a halt, you see? And that's where, that's why it's going to hurt America so hard because America is a consumer country. That's a consumer place, man. America doesn't produce a lot of things like that, man. A lot of its imports, a lot of its stuff that it gets is imported here, man. So when all those things are stopped, what the hell do you think is going to happen here, man? That shit is not going to be coming in here, man. And you already see these rising prices of gas. Pretty soon you see all these videos of these truckers filling up their tanks, and it's costing thousands upon dollar to fill up these trucks, man. And eventually, a lot of these companies that ship these goods and services are going to go under because their cost of fuel is too high, man. They're not. It's going to cost them too much to fill up and to deliver these things than the money they're going to make from these things, man. So eventually, that's going to dry up, man. All right. And not only is when global trade comes to a halt, guess what? Local trade is going to come to a screeching halt, man. And these people, they're not preparing themselves for this. They're not thinking about this. It says Argentina is a big agricultural exporter, wrote another. This will be a big deal. We are one bad U.S. crop away from planetary deep shit, you see? And the Lord is touching these crops here, man. You had the grand solar minimum, man. You got a lot of bad crops. You even got the government destroying these crops, man, which, that's being orchestrated by these elite intentionally because they will use food as a weapon against you people to get you to obey and to submit into their new world order. But you also have the spirit of the Lord blasting and sending harsh weather patterns to help further this famine, man, and destroy these crops, to not have good planting seasons and things of that nature. We saw over there in China this year, last year, how they've been just completely flooded, man. And China, is a big exporter of food and goods and things like of that nature to America and to around the world, man. It's so bad now over there in China, and I think in the Philippines or somewhere, to where they're having to resort to eating alligator meat more than pork, man. You see? And that's going to come here to America, but you just got to think America is still on top of the hill. So this is a very rich country. So it's just going to take a little longer for it to dry up here than it would, say, in like, Argentina or Puerto Rico or Vietnam or somewhere like that. But it will come here to Babylon, man. What does he say? We're one bad U.S. crop away from planetary deep shit. Millions dead confirmed, warned another. Well, the job is done. Now we get to watch the carnage across the world. See, what's interesting is that all of what's coming was completely preventable because it's being orchestrated. And of course, we know first and foremost through the Lord because it's the will of the Lord. But, these elites are helping to bring in this manufactured famine, man. You see? And what is it? What does it say? Millions dead confirmed, man. It says someone else pointed out that we could be watching hyperinflation unfold before our very eyes, which will lead to a collapse of not just the food system, but all fiat currencies backed by nothing and controlled by central banks. All of these compounding factors, see, so it's a multitude of things, man. You got the hyperinflation, you got the worthless dollar, you got uh, the supply chain disruptions, you got this what they call it, you got the food protectionism escalating. You got all these importers and exporters of all these different goods and fillers and corn and wheat and things have their export paralyzed, man. So it's a whole lot of things that's playing into this, but it's all going to lead to one thing: millions dead and massive amounts of famine around the planet Earth, man. It says but nothing. All of these compounding factors will add up to massive hyperinflation, famine, and poverty. See, these things go hand in hand, and all three of these things are being massively and hyper, very fastly controlled by these elites to bring these things in, man. Like I said, they're gonna use food and starvation and hyperinflation and bankrupt you as a weapon to have you obey and take their charagma and sign yourself up for their beast system, man. And that's why I said, if you don't have the spirit of Yahweh Shem, Yahweh Shai with you, you jakes, man, you're finished. You're going to be overcome by these things, man. All right? Because you don't have the spirit, you don't have the faith, and you don't have the wisdom of the Most High with you to guide you through these times, man. See that again. All of these compounding factors will add up to massive hyperinflation, which hyperinflation is when you can go to the store and let's say by the time you walk into the store, uh, a bottle of bleach is $6, but by the time you get to the register, that same bottle of bleach would be $15, man. All right, it's just the price of everything is going to be hyperly inflating itself, man. You can go into a restaurant to eat a meal, By the time you get when you won't go in there, let's say the meal is $30, by the time you finish eating, you get your bill. That meal could have went up $40, man. You see, that's how bad it's gonna get here, man. Like I said, on top of all of that, you add in the truckers not bringing food, all of these supply chain disruptions. It's gonna be a lot of people dead out here, man. Scriptures tell you that these are the beginning of sorrows, man. Great death and famine, right? And this is a Second Ezra chapter 6 verse 22. It says, "And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty." And what do you have in storehouses? Food, grain, massive amounts of food that you store up to feed your citizens, man. These things are being dried up intentionally. Again, by what? By the hyperinflation, by the so-called issues over there in Ukraine, and by all of this food protectionism being done by all of these countries, not importing and exporting their grains, but keeping them for themselves and for their own citizens, and basically, you know, um, being in a position to where you're only going to deal and trade with people that have something that you really, really need, and it's going to lead to a lot of death out here, man. So, like I said, there's a lot of factors playing into this famine, man, and it's going to hit hard. It says, "And the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid. And at that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies." Yeah, especially when this famine comes, man. Like I said in the article, man, you're gonna have food riots out here, man. Race riots, cannibalism, invading of one another, man. You know, that's just how bad it's gonna get out here. It says the earth shall stand in fear with the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountains shall stand still, and in about 3 hours they shall not run. You see, things are gonna get definitely dry out here, man. All right, it's gonna be a lot of people that's gonna die of famine. A lot of people that's gonna be eating each other. A lot of people that's gonna kill each other for the lack of bread, and the love of many is gonna wax cold when these food riots and food scarcity hits, amongst a lot of other things. But this is just dealing with the whole famine side of it, man. So you know, like we've been warning you guys, man. And these things are escalating faster and faster, man. But they will be here in Babylon the Great in due time, man. And you Jakes have been warned. You better get right with Yahweh Shem Yahushua, or suffer, or you're gonna have to suffer this and eat all of this, man. So hey, with that, Lord willing, you were edified. Call Allah Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Put the spirit on me to do this lesson. Lord willing, you were edified.